Hello and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Ashwarya Kapoor with you. Let us begin the bulletin with the headlines. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti calls for an all-party meet to discuss situation in the violence-hit state. National conference to boycott meeting, citing ineffective leadership. 7 more youths attempt suicide in Gujarat as protests over atrocities on Dalits intensify. Issue reverberates in Parliament. Opposition members protest against incidents. Rajnath Singh says PM is upset about attack on Dalits. BJP sacks its Uttar Pradesh Vice President over his derogatory remarks against BSP Chief Mayawati. Parliament disrupted as members condemn BJP leader's remarks. Expulsion to remain in force for 6 years. Turkey declares state of emergency after failed coup attempt. Emergency to last for 3 months. President Erdogan vows to clean the virus responsible for the plot from all state institutions. And India to take on West Indies in the first of the 4 tests in Antigua today. Kohli drops hints but does not reveal a playing 11. West Indies skipper backs inexperienced squad to step up. Big story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir. Well, Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti has called an all-party meeting today to discuss the situation in the violence-hit state. The invitation for the meet has been extended to the leaders of all mainstream political parties, including ruling BJP, PDP combined, and also the opposition National Conference, Congress, CPM, CPI, and the National Panthers Party. However, Omar Abdullah-led National Conference has decided to boycott the meeting, saying that actions in the recent past have shown that there was no effective leadership in the state government. National Conference leader Ali Mohammad Sagar in a statement said that it was extremely unfortunate that the Chief Minister was calling a meeting of all political parties almost 2 weeks after unrest hit the valley following the killing of Hizbul Mujahideen commander Burhan Wani. Earlier, National Conference President Omar Abdullah called on Governor N.N. Bora and submitted a memorandum about the situation in the state. Meanwhile, curfew remained in force on the valley for the 13th day today, even as circulation of newspapers resumed from today. However, the separatists have extended their strike call till 25th of July. And the Kashmir issue dominated day 3 of the monsoon session of Parliament, with the opposition cornering the Narendra Modi government and the PDP-BJP government in the state for continuing violence in the state. Now, defending the government, BJP MP Anurag Thakur asked all the political parties to come together to find a solution.
But act with a plan.
The centre and the Jammu and Kashmir state government came under attack in the Lok Sabha on Wednesday over the unrest in the valley, with the opposition alleging their failure to address the situation and pressing for a political solution. Initiating the discussion on the ongoing tension in the valley, Congress leader Jyotiraditya Scindia blamed the centre and the PDP-BJP combined of failing to distinguish between terrorists and civilians.
कश्मीर की जमहूरियत और कश्मीर के लोगों के साथ एक शब्द का वार्तालाप नहीं। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं कि कहां गई वो मन की बात?
Other party leaders, including the TMC, NCP and BJD, accused the government of mishandling the situation sparked by the encountered death of Hizbul Mujahideen terrorist Burhan Wani. Samajwadi Party leader Mulayam Singh Yadav also accused China of fueling tension in the valley.
Not a single government has taken effective steps to prevent terrorism in the Kashmir itself. Recently, the incidents which have occurred in that Kashmir is due to sheer mishandling this situation by the central government.
When their mind sees a positive icon, they will follow that icon. If that icon can be an Indian, can be a Kashmiri, they will follow that.
पूरी तरह चीन कश्मीर को अपने हाथ में लेना चाहता है। इससे सावधान होइए। पूरा सदन एक है। इस मामले में सदन में कोई किसी तरह का भेदभाव नहीं।
As various parties demanded sending an all-party delegation to the valley, the ruling party defended itself against the charge of using excessive force to quell protests. BJP MP Anurag Thakur said all political parties should come together and help in dealing with such situations.
कि 2005 में अगर टेररिस्ट वायलेंस, आतंकी हिंसा के 1990 मामले थे और 2014 तक आकर वो 222 तक कम होकर रह गए। और कुल मौत 2005 में अगर 1663 लोगों की हुई तो 2014 में कम होकर वो 185 की रह गई। तो बड़ा नहीं, ये कम हुआ है कि आखिरकार ये कमी जो आई है, इसके लिए मैं सरकार को, अब की सरकार को भी और पूर्व की सरकार को बधाई देना चाहता हूं और विशेष तौर पर सुरक्षा बलों को बधाई देना चाहता हूं कि जिन्होंने लगातार ऐसे मामलों में कमी लेकर आए हैं।
The BJP's alliance partner in Kashmir, the PDP, raised questions on the need for Wani's killing and its timing. PDP MP Muzaffar Beg urged the centre to use its moral authority instead of military authority.
Deepest cut of all, in the name of a democracy, a fraud was played on the Kashmiris. Kashmiris were pro-Indians. They were not for Pakistan. उनके हाथ में बंदूक देने वाले कौन है? हम हैं। मैं समझता हूं कि शेख अब्दुल्ला साहब हैं जिम्मेवार, बावजूद इसके कि वो हमारे सबसे बड़े जिम्मेवार थे कि उन्होंने जमहूरियत के बगैर कुर्सी संभाली।
The government argued the situation in Jammu and Kashmir was an ideological battle which is being worsened by provocative actions by Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, on to the other big story of the day, now shut down by Dalit organizations to protest the brutal thrashing of the community youths in Una town in Gujarat got a mixed response on Wednesday, with incidents of stone pelting and road blockade reported in some places. Now, Chief Minister Anandiben Patel visited the family members and urged political parties not to politicize the issue. NCP leader Praful Patel and Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi are expected to visit the state today. The ongoing protests over the brutal assault on some Dalits at Una town in Gujarat worsened on Wednesday as 7 more youths attempted suicide. At least 17 people have attempted suicide, protesting against thrashing of 7 youths by a vigilante group for allegedly slaughtering a cow last week. The incidents of suicide bit were reported from districts of Rajkot, Porbandar, Botad and Gir Somnath. Chief Minister Anandiben Patel met the families of the victims and promised strict action against the culprits. Patel also urged that the issue should not be politicized.
જેવી આ ઘટના બની કે તરત જ જે એક્શનો મેં લીધા અને દિવસે દિવસે વધુ ને વધુ એક્શન લેતા ગયા, ધરપકડ જેમ બીજે દિવસે થઈ, કોઈની ત્રીજે દિવસે થઈ, આ બધી જ માહિતી ગૃહ વિભાગને, વેંકૈયાજીને, PM ઓફિસમાં અને મંત્રીશ્રીઓને.
However, the issue gathered political steam with the proposed visit of Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi and Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal this week. NCP leader Praful Patel will also visit the state on Thursday. Union Minister and prominent Dalit leader Ramvilas Paswan has also expressed concern over the issue.
दलितों के ऊपर में घटना घटी है, ये बहुत ही दुखद है और किसी भी ये कोई जो लोग इशू उठा रहे हैं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है, वहाँ नरेंद्र मोदी जी का स्टेट है, देश के किसी भी कोने में दलितों के ऊपर में जुल्म और अत्याचार हो या हो रहा है, उसका हम निंदा करते हैं। लोक जनशक्ति पार्टी कठोर शब्दों में निंदा करती है।
Shutdown was observed in Ahmedabad and Rajkot on Wednesday after protest by the Dalit community turned violent. One policeman was killed in stone pelting by mob in Amreli on Tuesday in police protesters' clashes. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Well, last week's attacks on Dalits in Gujarat triggered protest in the Rajya Sabha as well and paralysed the day's business as the opposition sought to corner the centre on the issue. The government assured that a probe has been ordered and the state government has taken strict action. The opposition, however, upped the ante against the government and forced several adjournments through the day.
No sooner than the listed papers were laid, TMC's Derek O'Brien raised the issue of alleged atrocities on Dalits in Gujarat. Opposition members from various parties, including the BSP, TMC and the Congress, underscored that they had submitted notices for a debate on the issue.
Yesterday we gave a notice, the BSP gave a notice, day before yesterday.
I am asking you,
we want this issue.
Opposition members then trooped into the well of the House and protested against the government. As the protest escalated, the chair adjourned the House for 10 minutes.
House is adjourned for 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
When the House reassembled, Social Justice and Empowerment Minister Thawar Chand Gehlot sought to defend the Gujarat government and stressed on the strict action taken by the state. While expressing regret on the death of the Dalit man who consumed poison, Gehlot assured of providing financial assistance to the victims. However, Gehlot's assertion failed to pacify the opposition as the members continued their tirade against the government, forcing another adjournment.
House is adjourned after 12:00 hours. 12:00 hours.
Question hour became a casualty of the protest as repeated pleas by Chairman Muhammad Hamid Ansari went unheeded. The chair then adjourned the House till 2 p.m.
House is adjourned till 2 p.m.
Even in the post-lunch session, the opposition's dissent did not simmer down. MOS Parliamentary Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi pressed for an immediate discussion on the issue. Deputy Chairman P.J. Kurian also tried to mollify the agitating members.
जो दलितों के सशक्तिकरण का मुद्दा है, जो दलितों से तथाकथित अन्याय अत्याचार का मुद्दा है, सभी पे हम सहमत हैं चर्चा करने के लिए।
Business Advisory Committee has decided to discuss this issue. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. this issue will be discussed. The BSc has agreed, government has agreed. Then what is the need of the shouting? House is for discussion, House is not for shouting.
However, the opposition parties continued to raise the pitch against the government. A vigilante group had on July 11th stripped down and thrashed some Dalit youths in Una town of Gir Somnath district in Gujarat for allegedly skinning a dead cow, triggering protests across the state. A policeman has since been killed and a Dalit man has committed suicide. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the BJP on Wednesday expelled its Uttar Pradesh unit Vice President Daya Shankar Singh for his derogatory remarks against BSP chief Mayawati. The BJP expelled Daya Shankar from party hours after the announcement that Singh has been relieved from all organizational responsibilities, and the expulsion will remain in force for 6 years in line with the party's rule. The FIR was also filed against Singh by the members of Mayawati's party. The party has given a call for protest in the state capital on Thursday to press for Singh's immediate arrest. Now, Singh's remarks drew severe flack from members in the Rajya Sabha as well, with the Deputy Chairperson P.J. Kurian asking the government to ensure that stringent action be taken against the BJP leaders for his unforgivable comments. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley also expressed personal regret and condemned the remarks.
तथाकथित नेता दया शंकर जी द्वारा जो हमारी नेता बहन कुमारी मायावती जी के विरुद्ध अब शब्दों का प्रयोग किया गया है और दलित विरोधी कार्य किया गया है, उसके विरोध में FIR दर्ज करने के लिए श्री मेवालाल गौतम जी ने माननीय गैरचंद दिनकर जी विधानमंडल दल के नेता हैं, नेता विरोधी दल विधानसभा हैं, मेरे और अन्य साथियों के साथ में वो तहरीर दी गई।
Well, a very short break in here. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue, symbolized by the ladders, rewarded, while the vices shown by the snakes are punished. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Welcome back. Now, the Union Cabinet, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday, approved the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Bill 2016 for introduction in the Parliament. The bill will benefit a large number of transgendered persons, mitigate the stigma, discrimination and abuse, and bring them into the mainstream of the society. Last year, Rajya Sabha approved a private member's bill to protect the rights of transgenders for the first time in 45 years after it was moved by Rajya Sabha MP Tiruchi Siva. Through this bill, the government has evolved a mechanism for their social, economic and educational empowerment. News from the northeast now, and the 4-day-old Congress government in Arunachal Pradesh comfortably proved its majority on the floor of the assembly on Wednesday. Pema Khandu won the no trust motion in a specially convened Arunachal Pradesh Legislative Assembly session. The session also witnessed the election of Deputy Speaker Sering Norbu Thongok as the 11th Speaker of the Assembly. 44 Congress MLAs and 2 independent members voted in favour of the government. Khandu thanked them for reposing faith in his leadership and also thanked the senior party leaders, including Nabam Tuki and Kaliko Pul. The Chief Minister also appealed to the members not to rake up issues of the past and said that he would fix responsibilities on every member of his cabinet. He asserted that those who fail to perform would face action. Meanwhile, the toll in this furious liquor tragedy in Uttar Pradesh has climbed to 39 with 2 more deaths reported from Etah district. The NHRC took suo motu cognizance of the matter and issued notices to the state government seeking a reply in 4 weeks. It observed that the suspension of public servants pointed towards negligence on part of the official machinery resulting in the tragedy. The main accused, Sripad Lodh, has already been arrested, and 11 officials of the Excise Department and police have also been suspended. The government has announced an ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees each to the families of those deceased. Over 24 people were admitted in various hospitals in Etah and Saifi, and their condition was slated to be serious. Meanwhile, strict directives have also been issued to check manufacture and the sale of illicit liquor. The authorities have also launched a crackdown on bootlegging and has arrested more than 1,500 people across the state. On to the big international story, and Turkey's president has declared a 3-month state of emergency that gives the state extra powers to pass laws. The declaration follows the firing and suspension of tens of thousands of soldiers, educators and civil servants in the recent days on the suspicion of complicity in the failed coup last week. Fallout of a failed coup continues. A state of emergency has been declared in Turkey for 3 months. President Recep Erdogan met with his National Security Council and the Council of Ministers on Wednesday, who approved the state of emergency recommendation. Erdogan vowed that all the viruses within the armed forces will be cleansed.
Darbe girişiminde bulunan terör örgütünün tüm unsurlarıyla ve süratle bertaraf edilebilmesi için ülkemizde anayasamızın
The declaration could be used to extend the detention of people rounded up since the failed coup. Turkey has now fired or suspended about 50,000 people as it intensifies its vast purge. Military men, journalists, police and judges alike have been caught in a net, with more than 9,400 people being detained. Education Ministry staff has been sacked, teachers' licenses withdrawn and the university deans told to quit. Amid talk of reviving the death penalty and heavy-handed punishments over the coup, Western leaders have urged Erdogan to respect democratic principles and act within the law.
There are serious concerns that we also want to send a strong message on the need to respect the rule of law in Turkey. I think that is important. Turkey is a partner of us, and we are working together in a community of values. And it's important that they are respected.
Der letzten Stunden, aus denen wir ja nicht nur entnehmen, dass es Tausende von Entlassungen und Suspendierungen gegeben hat bei Soldaten, bei Richtern, sondern jetzt auch Universitätsprofessoren an ihrer Ausreise gehindert werden, dass
Erdogan has blamed the coup attempt on US-based cleric Fethullah Gulen. He has called for Gulen to be extradited to Turkey, but US insists on hard evidence first. The Muslim cleric has denied any involvement in the coup attempt.
They have apparently submitted something that is accurate, but in my comments directly to the Foreign Minister of Turkey, and we talked about 4 times in the span of 36 hours, I said, please don't send us allegations, send us evidence. We need to have evidence which we can then make a judgment about.
The announcement of emergency in the country has raised further concerns about restrictions on freedoms and rights in Turkey, which was shaken by a coup attempt on Friday that saw tanks enter the streets of Ankara and Istanbul and very nearly ousted the Turkish government. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. News from France, and the lawmakers there have voted massively to extend the state of emergency, as President Francois Hollande said that a call to boost reserve forces had paved the way towards a national guard. Now, after 7 hours of fraught debate into the night, during which the opposition accused the government of being lax on security, the lower house of parliament voted by 489 to 26 to prolong the state of emergency for a further 6 months. Then a large majority of senators followed suit, voting to extend the state of emergency by 309 to 26. Well, it is the fourth time the measures have been extended since Islamic State jihadists struck Paris in November, killing 130 people at restaurants, a concert hall and a national stadium. Hollande had a plan to lift the measures on 26th of July but changed track after the Nice attack. On Bastille Day, the government now is scrambling to find new ways to assure a jittery population after its third major attack in 18 months. Let's get you some more international news in World Wrap. The United States gathered its allies in the coalition fighting the Islamic State group on Wednesday and agreed on a plan to corner the jihadists in their final bastions. U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter told reporters that an accelerated military effort would soon see the group pushed back to Raqqa in Syria and Mosul in Iraq. The 2 days of meetings were called as the jihadist attacks, many of which are inspired by Islamic State, are proliferating around the world. 3 French soldiers were killed in a helicopter accident during an intelligence gathering mission in Libya. This is the first confirmed Western military casualties since it became known that a special force were operating on the ground in Libya. The French have been working alongside forces loyal to Eastern Libyan commander who launched a campaign against Islamists and other opponents in Benghazi more than 2 years ago, but has rejected a Western-backed unity government in Tripoli. Theresa May and Francois Hollande will discuss Britain's plans to quit the European Union when they meet for talks in Paris today. After swiftly issuing an invitation to the Prime Minister when she took office last week, the French President will host a working dinner at the LIC Palace. This comes just a day after May met with her German counterpart Angela Merkel. Now to cricket news, and West Indies and India will commence a 4-test series at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua this evening. The visitors are heavily favoured to extend a 14-year unbeaten run against the hosts. Now anything less than a 3-0 triumph by the Indians will see them lose points in their quest to close the gap on Australia at the top of the international test rankings. At a press conference on the eve of the first test match, Indian skipper Virat Kohli declared that his side will look to play attacking cricket, preferably with 5 specialist bowlers, in order to set the tone for the series. Now, Shikhar Dhawan is likely to partner Murali Vijay at the top of the order, with KL Rahul missing out. India also seems set to play 5 bowlers on a pitch that Kohli felt would offer not too much of bounce. Meanwhile, the West Indies have chosen a young side for the series. Only 3 members of the 13-man squad have played more than 20 test matches. 6 of them have either played 4 tests or fewer, and 2 are yet to make their debuts. Now, West Indies captain Jason Holder, who also himself has played only 13 tests, said that he was confident in the abilities of the young group that he was leading.
में 100% अच्छा खेलना होगा टेस्ट मैच जीतने के लिए. 80-85% से कुछ नहीं होता, क्योंकि समटाइम्स जो 10-15% है वो पूरे गेम से ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट होता है. तो आई थिंक वो चीज़ एक्सपीरियंस के साथ आती है दिमाग में, और प्लेयर्स आर विलिंग सीखने को, और वो आई थिंक बहुत अच्छा साइन है. और आप इस सीरीज़ में भी देखेंगे कि अगर कहीं गलती होगी तो उसको जल्दी से जल्दी इम्प्रूव किया जाएगा.
I'm really confident with the young group that we have. Most of these guys have been performing really well in domestic competition. You've got young Ross and Chase, who's in the squad for the first time. You know, he averages around 40 in first-class cricket. You know, you've got Shane Durrich, who's been doing well over the last few seasons. Leon Johnson had a really good season. And there's just a few names who went back into the first-class competition and did really well. You know, so I think all of them are really eager for an opportunity. And, you know, I'm very, very confident going into this series with them.
Well, that's all in this edition of news, but do stay tuned. Parliamentary news is coming up in both English and Hindi. Thanks for watching.